Good morning, Chip Theory faithful. It's been a while. It has been a little while. It's me, Josh Welgus. You know me as Ghillie. I have shaved most of the hair off of my face. Some Chip Theory employees were telling me earlier this week that this makes me look angry, that I look kinder when, I look more kind when I have facial hair. Let me know in the comments if that's true or if I look gentle and kind and sweet with my sweetly shaven face. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's early in the morning for me. I was up late. playing Mario Kart World, as one does. But I'm here with you now, and behind the scenes, say hello to Mr. Andrew Santoro.
Hello, I'm here.
I was telling them to say hello to you, not you to say hello to them.
Hello, myself. Chat is coming in. I am trying to monitor the sound right up top here, so you are very delayed in my ears.
Okay.
So now I'm hearing for you to not say hello to myself. But early consensus is you are looking younger.
Wow, okay.
Less scruffy.
But scruffy?
Less scruffy.
Less scruffy, okay, yeah.
Don't look like the janitor from Futurama anymore.
Here's the thing. I don't really know, it's Father's Day week, so happy Father's Day, or happy early Father's Day to all you fathers out there. My father, who I love dearly and inherited most of my entire personality from my dad, to be totally honest, and my sense of humor, never really taught me how to like care for facial hair because my dad can't really grow facial hair. Many would argue I can't really grow it either, and I just tried. Part of the reason that I always look so scruffy when I do have facial hair is because like I don't really know what I'm doing with it. I don't like, if you've got any like beard oil recommendations or anything, you can throw those in the comments too. I don't know what I'm doing. So, and because of that, I was kind of like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing with this, so maybe I'll go back to clean shaven. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We're here to talk about chip theory stuff. Summer is underway. Lots of things are happening behind the scenes here. We've got a new website that we've been working hard to get launched here over the last few months behind the scenes. And I am behind on updates, as tends to happen when we have like a glut of campaigns that are in some stage of fulfillment. But I'm behind on updates, so there's probably lots of things that you want to know, and I'm here to try and share as many of those things as I can and answer whatever I can for you. We are down a staff member or two here helping out with the stream. I'll just let you know one of the reasons for that is that Origins is coming up next week, and so we have some folks out taking some time in anticipation of working a lot next week, obviously at Origins. So we're about to jump heavily into convention season. UKGE just wrapped up. We are like midstream fulfilling Roth and in the United States, and it is slated to land many other places very, very soon. We're working on Dragons. We're working on new 20 strong decks. We announced Tanglewood's Rose I think since the last stream. Maybe not since the last stream. I can't remember. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. So there's no additional anything to this stream beyond we just want to hear your questions. So throw us your questions.
Yes, please put your questions in the chat if you have them. I forgot my computer at home, so I don't have other avenues to look up your questions other than in this chat. So please do that.
So Andrew will be reading the questions aloud to me in his wonderful, wonderful soothing voice, and I will answer them as I can. Are there any questions right from the jump?
There are. I would say up top here, make sure to visit our booth at Origins if you are there. We will have Roth, I believe, and Elder Scrolls. We will not have cheese, to my knowledge. So
yes, that is correct.
Don't come
we
looking
will not
for cheese.
have the cheeses of Tamriel at Origins. Apologies in advance.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That was pretty cheesy.
Also, I'll say, if you enjoy this type of thing, if you enjoy live streams from us, make sure to like this video. It helps a lot, more than you may think it does. And give a subscribe to the channel if you want to be up to date on every new thing that we do. Some questions up top. Let me see here. Not necessarily a question, but looking forward to hearing about the French version of VOTC. Super excited for the stream. Secretly hoping to see final copies of Tanglewoods. Would love to see metal dice for 20 strong in action. I don't know if we have final ones of those on hand.
I will talk about all of that. Yep.
Please, oh please, CTG announce a second expansion in development for Skyrim, VOTC, and more character journal colors. I don't think we're doing more work in specifically Skyrim, to my knowledge, but maybe.
They may just mean, a lot of people just call it the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, because that's like their main reference point, yeah.
That's because they haven't put out a new one yet. Are you planning on doing a Rage of Tyranny 2 for the Missing Tyrants to finish off TMBs? That's the first phrased as a question I have seen.
Okay. All right. Well, let's tackle a handful of those things. I realize, yeah, I should, as I generally do at the top of a lot of these streams, especially when there has been a long absence, I try to do kind of a like state of the CTG campaign update, as it were. So let's start with the one that is like the furthest back right now, which is the Elder Scrolls, and we do have an update coming on all foreign language editions here very soon. Hopefully by end of day tomorrow we'll see. We have information from like pretty much every language partner on where things are at. I think we're waiting to hear from one more before I can put that update together formally. So because I haven't actually read the text that's been sent to start putting into an update yet, I am going to stop short of giving any like hardcore updates on specific language versions, but they are starting to move forward in a much more consequential way across the board. So look forward to a GameFound update again, hopefully by end of day tomorrow on the state of all of the foreign language editions. But my understanding is that all of them are getting close to, if not like in the proofing process, they're getting close to going to actual print finally, which is great news and a relief. I'll also just state like that right now, one of the things we're evaluating, so for me, trying to be the guy that is writing most of these updates and trying to keep my arms around all of the campaigns that are running, we've been running foreign language editions on our campaigns for the last couple of years. And especially on some of these bigger titles, it is taking a very long time for those to go from, go from campaign to actual release, because we need to wait until we're done with the English files to send those, and then the translation begins, and then there's a whole nother print process. We are taking a very close look, and I'm just warning you on this, not warning in a like aggressive, threatening way, but just letting you know that this may be coming. We are looking at the possibility of not doing foreign languages on our campaigns anymore, simply so that we can let language partners kind of run their own campaigns if they want to, and we can work with language partners to really provide updates and news to the folks that have backed those titles. It's a lot for me right now. Like in my mind, like the Botsy campaign, the Elder Scrolls campaign was so long ago, and like we're done with our part of it. Like we are really.
Yeah, I would pop in quick too, because I think it gets forgotten. I'm definitely the person in this room, certainly, who has the least experience in this industry. Before I worked here, and even for like a year of working here, when I understood of translations in games, was that the company making the game is translating the game and will then put it out. And I don't think that's an uncommon understanding. So you may want to break down, like, I believe there was someone in our Discord yesterday saying that we are one company, so we should be able to have those updates like on hand at all times because we're the one company,
right?
But we're not.
That is just straight up not how it works. In the same way that we have licensed the Elder Scrolls to make an Elder Scrolls game, and then we pay Bethesda royalties on every sale that we make of the Elder Scrolls games. Effectively, the way that translations work in the board game industry, most of the time, this is not a universalism, but especially for companies like us who have no foreign language speakers on hand. I think European companies often have bilingual folks, or even trilingual folks that work for their companies that can do some of the translation in-house. But for us, we don't have that. We don't speak any of these languages, nor do we venture to become fluent in any of these languages anytime soon. And so effectively, all of our language translation partners license the game from us, and we make way less money on each of those sales. We're talking like very small percentages of what we make on an English sale, because we're essentially just being paid royalties. So companies like Frosted Games or Lucky Duck or Pendragon or any of the number of partners that we work with, they translate the game themselves. They handle like the manufacturing themselves. We check over everything once they submit the files to make sure that we're not seeing anything crazy. And we have terms in there that ensure that the quality of the game comes out exactly the same. So they need to use Gameland as a manufacturer if we're using Gameland to manufacture our games, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, again, once those files leave our hands and once we've proofed them and checked them over, and again, we don't know the language, so we're not checking over the language side of it. We're just checking over like, hey, does this look correct? Are the images in the right place? Is the art still in the right place, et cetera? Once those files leave our hands, so like we are entirely hands off on that process. We don't handle the component replacements for foreign language editions for the most part, and it is entirely handled by other companies, and they are very, very, very small companies in most cases. You know, we're talking like 2 to 3 people at a lot of these companies, and so getting consequential updates on like the gory details of where a translation is at is surprisingly difficult. And again, every moment that they take to update us is a moment that they're not actually working on translating the game. So I understand it probably seems silly for us to be like, yeah, we don't know exactly where any given translation is at this exact moment, but it's a reality. It's a genuine reality that oftentimes we are waiting for an update, and then when we get an update, it is often lacking in detail, and then when we share that on GameFound, oftentimes that makes us look kind of silly, like it's been 2 months since you updated us, and this is what you've got. Things are coming along nicely, and yes, that is oftentimes what we're looking at. So, yeah. Anyway. Blah blah blah. Long story, but that is the way that translations work. But anyway, on the Elder Scrolls, working on an update, we have updates from I think pretty much all of our translation partners, save for one, and I'm not going to throw them under the bus and shame them on this stream. But my understanding is that we should have updates by the end of the week, and then it's just a matter of me going in and actually formulating that and constructing a true update out of that. But all of that to say, so, you know, we ran the Elder Scrolls campaign however long ago, and it's still lingering out there because of foreign language editions that are hard to acquire updates for. So, yeah, we're taking a really close look at, for the upcoming campaigns that we have coming this year, likely running English only on them. One, so that we can kind of get out from under some of the overhead of trying to update like 7 campaigns at once. And also 2, because, you know, we're looking at new Elder Scrolls content and we're looking at new 20 Strong content, and there's a chance that some of the translated versions of the previous campaign will not have fulfilled yet by the time we're trying to run a new campaign. And that also gets awkward because then you get people yelling at you saying, I haven't even received my first wave of stuff. And we're like, it's out of our control. We're ready to move on and release the next English thing, and so on and so forth. So anyway, yeah, okay, so some of the other questions that were, oh, sorry, okay, so we started with Botsy, started with Betrayal of the Second Era. Language updates are coming. Hoplo Victorian, we put out an update for that, I think last week, maybe a week and a half ago. That is moving slower than we had hoped, just full disclosure. But that is, the English version is fully fulfilled. We're just waiting on foreign language editions and so on and so forth. After that, we've got 20 Strong Tanglewoods. I do not have a production copy in my hands yet to show you. What we are hearing from Gameland is that there should be production, like final production copies of everything, or almost everything, on their way to us within the next week. They are, I think they were saying by tomorrow there should be like everything will be in some state of like being finished and so on and so forth. So all the storage options are in production. The metal dice are in painting, or the dice, and I think this includes the metal dice if I'm not mistaken, are in painting right now. So like they've been produced and molded, and now the white paint that goes on each of them is happening. Everything's moving along swimmingly. So we're well into the manufacturing process on that, and we will have we'll have updates for you on that. And as soon as the production copies of everything arrive, we will be very, very anxious to show that off, both gameplay and just showing off the product on stream. So that is Tanglewoods. No updates on foreign language stuff on that just yet, but things are moving right along. We've got Roth, and Roth is still on its way to everybody around the world. We are, I think, over halfway done fulfilling it here in the United States. We've just been waiting for the metal tokens to arrive, and I think those were supposed to arrive either today or tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. And then we will finish. We'll finish fulfilling in the U.S. at that point, and the containers are on their way to all the other regions as we speak. It just, everything takes forever to get to the UK right now because of people avoiding the Red Sea and trade routes and all of that kind of thing. Cloudspire is in like the final stages of the proofing process, along with just finalizing things like the 20 strong deck art and all of that kind of thing. So that is coming along really, really nicely. No delays of any kind look like they're coming on that Cloudspire campaign. That is that's in a really, really good spot. I owe everybody an update on that one as well. Dragons of Etch and Stone, I think that's the last one. I think am I missing one, Santoro?
I don't think you're missing one, but
tell me in
I'm
the comments
sure
if I forgot something.
Chat will let us know if you have.
Dragons of Etch and Stone, though, should be, and I'll have an update on this one too. The PM, the pledge manager should be opening, and any time now, and then the game is done. So the game is done. We're ready to send it to. Our creative director Melanie, who handles most of our pre-press work, is out on vacation this week. But next week she will be taking all of the final files, prepping them for pre-press, prepping them for production, and then we will send those to Gameland. Gameland will then send us e-proofs. We will approve those e-proofs, and then we are off to the races. But it's done. It's done. Everything is designed. Everything's been proofed. Everything's ready to go. We just need to get it ready to submit to print, which will happen next week. We are on or ahead of schedule on Dragons, which is really, really, really great. So that is kind of a quick synopsis of where all of the campaigns are at this exact moment. It is now with the tariff stuff like sorted, not in a good way, but we know at least what to expect. We can now finally operate with at least knowledge of what we are looking at in terms of like how we're pricing things, how we're shipping things, how we're manufacturing things, and so on and so forth. So that is where all the campaigns are at. There was another question about, will we ever do a Rage of Tyranny 2 with the It'd
be Unbreakable and Splice and Dice
and the Splice and Dice Tyrants,
and Shale.
Odds are no. We never say never to anything, but odds are no. Rage of Tyranny itself has not been a like super high seller. It's it's ostensibly like kind of end game content for a lot of people. It's like once you've exhausted ways to play all of the other tyrants, of which there are a ton, it's kind of one of those like end game expansions. Splice and Dice is kind of a similar deal. And so it hasn't been like a massive seller for us. I highly recommend it. I think it's a great expansion, and it really breathes a ton of new life into a lot of content that you maybe feel like you've solved. But I don't think we will. And part of the other reason for that is that the Unbreakable Tyrants and the Splice and Dice Tyrants themselves, one, are on the higher end of the difficulty scale from the jump. But two, they are kind of... Rage of Tyranny was kind of a way of us going back and redesigning original tyrants to be more like the way they work in Splice and Dice and Unbreakable, if that makes sense. We tried to make the tyrants in Splice and Dice have a much more meaningful impact on the entirety of your campaign or the entirety of your adventure. Sorry, I'll use the in-game vernacular. And we hadn't really done that nearly as much on the original and Undertow Tyrants. And so then we carried a lot of that design philosophy into Unbreakable, where we wanted the Tyrants to have, more impact or be a more meaningful battle at the end. And so we don't also feel like it's as necessary for those tyrants because they're already kind of doing the thing that we wanted them to do once we got into like the late stages of designing content for Too Many Bones. So odds are no on the Rage of Tyranny. We have talked about it internally, but I do not anticipate that is likely to happen, more than likely. So there you go.
Speaking of Ghillie, any restock coming on that character expansion?
There are major restocks coming of a lot of things. I should stop short of guaranteeing. I mean, Ghillie will be restocked because Ghillie is our best-selling character. You love me. You really, really love me. And I'm sure that the main reason Ghillie sells is because of me. That is pure sarcasm for the record.
People just want to be you so bad.
Right, exactly. People want to be me. They want to meet me. They want to see how young I look now with no facial hair. Yeah, there's restocks coming on everything. We had like halted all container shipments while we waited to see things shake out with the tariffs. Then once they moved to 30%, we gave the green light to send a whole bunch of stuff, and that includes things like trove chests and all that kind of thing. So, anything that has been out of stock for a little while is likely to see a restock here very, very soon in the Bones universe. It's just a matter of we needed to get the containers here and not pay an arm and a leg if we could help it. So, yes, more Ghillie is coming. I don't have an exact timeline, but I think it's fairly soon. We've got a container arriving next week that is full of stuff. I just don't know exactly what that stuff is to tell you right now at this exact moment. So, but I've been told to prepare to potentially help unload a container next week while people are at Origins, and I am here. So this is what they make me do. They don't let me go to conventions anymore. They make me do hard manual labor. And it's really hard, to be honest.
Chained to his desk.
Yeah, it's really hard. You should feel deep sympathy for me.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Also, just a note, if it seems as though I've skipped over your question, it is because I have felt like it has been answered by something else. If you do not feel that way, feel free to repeat. I'm happy to read more questions. Also, keep questions coming in. Someone said, please say that you're printing the Brazilian version of Elder Scrolls. I'm sure that'll be included in that update.
And again, we are not printing it.
We are not printing
Galapagos Mundos, I think, is the Brazilian partner.
That sounds right.
They are printing it. And
again, so an important thing to note as somebody who is newer to this space than you is that's an important note. I always thought the company printed it, but no, it's the translator who also prints it and sells it. You cannot buy that copy from us.
That's correct.
Is Cloudspire on time for fall delivery?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Yep. It is. It is moving along swimmingly. It is moving along swimmingly, and we'll have much more to show in that capacity very, very soon.
When is Wrath arriving in the UK?
When is
autocorrect got you, didn't it?
Oh yeah. I would have to look at the exact arrival dates, but I think we gave the container estimated arrival dates 1 or 2 updates ago in Roth, and that date has not changed. So I would go back and look at that. It's like a 45-day journey right now from China to Spiral Galaxy. The UK container, I believe, left first, and it will still be the last one to arrive. So, and we're trying to line up, as it relates to things like Tanglewoods as well, we're trying to line up that UK container to be the first one that leaves, just because it has such a long journey. And again, all of that is because companies are completely avoiding the Red Sea area because of like the Houthi pirates and some of that other stuff that's still, some of that Middle East turmoil that's still going on. So it used to be that containers got there, I think like 10 days faster than they do now. It used to be about 35 days. Now it's 45 days, and that's almost without exception. So yeah, so it's arriving very, very soon. Very, very soon. I think in the next, maybe, I shouldn't even say. I shouldn't say because I might be wrong, but check the dates in the update 1 or 2 updates ago, and those dates are still holding true. So.
This is a very long setup. I mean, here's the thing. There's going to be a lot of Elder Scrolls questions here. I think this is like
that's fine. Yeah. That is fine.
I think this is this our first live stream since Elder Scrolls has like really begun to hit people? Because I feel like it might be, as far as like people have had time to play it, right?
That would mean we haven't. No, that would mean we haven't.
I mean, like,
live streamed in like
an
3
official
months.
Q&A though, like
maybe.
Because I've got, I mean, let me try to just give you all the Botsies at once, because they overlap a bit. I will,
and then I will give a soliloquy. On,
yes, I will stop talking when I have exhausted. And
I can talk a little bit about the new campaign too.
Those are the questions basically. Okay. So, let me just rattle off a bunch of questions. If you want me to stop, just start. Otherwise, I'll just go until I stop seeing Elder Scrolls questions. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Any more content updates for the upcoming Botsy expansion? Not exactly sure on that one.
I will talk about that in a minute.
Hi. About Betrayal, do you have plans to add the following in the long run? More common enemies, more general cards, encounters, delve, etc., more tiles, new mechanics, item crafting, mounts, homes, etc., level cap. I don't know what that one means. Balanced free roam mode, not restricted by time. I think that's one you can figure out probably. Alternative components, metal dice, new art, 4 components, etc. Thanks from Brazil. What's upcoming for Botsy? Let me see here. What is the status of Elder Scrolls Language Editions? We got that one. Let me see here. This auto jumped. Let me see. Oh no. Where was I?
It's gone.
Question. Is there a possibility to do a shorter session mode for Botsy like you did with Mercury's Boots?
Okay.
Will you ever consider streamlining the names of abilities, skills throughout all the games? No, absolutely not. That would take so much retroactive stuff. And Bethesda would have to be like, yes, it's good that you named your thing.
Well, also, and in some cases they work similarly, but not quite the same too. So like, there's also like danger in mentally connecting one. But anyway, okay.
That's also part of that thing where it's just not everybody owns all of our games. That owns one of them.
Yeah.
Those are Cloudspire. Any chance that you might be doing more map tiles for Botsy? Looks like I've got a chunk without. So tackle those.
All right, let's talk about Botsy. Let's talk about the release, the upcoming campaign that we are hoping to run, and kind of our plans for that. So I'm going to say a couple things. One, we have not, as of this exact moment, yet re-signed our license agreement with Bethesda. That does not mean we are in danger, potentially in danger of not signing it. But again, as some of this tariff stuff has been happening, we have just like slowed our roll on any like large cash expenditures and things of that nature, to just be conservative and make sure that like we're protecting the company in all cases. So we anticipate that we will be signing it soon. There are no like, I'm not secretly intimating that it's all gonna like go south or something. We've got a great working relationship with ZeniMax and Bethesda right now, and they are over the moon. Also excited about just like how well the game has been received in the BGG rankings. And by the way, if you love the game, please go rate it on BGG. We're sitting at like a 9.1 or a 9.2 right now, which is insane. And those BGG rankings genuinely help like sell the game and help us stay in business and keep making the crazy stuff that we make. So take a break from asking questions and listening to me, and go give us a 10 on BGG right now if you love the game. But
and if you don't like the game, keep watching the stream. There's
correct.
no reason to go anywhere.
You,
it's great here.
Pay no attention to anything I just said if you hate the game. So anyway, so anything that I'm saying right now cannot be considered like official announcements, but I can tell you some of the things that we are thinking through. So number one, the thing that we have announced that is in active playtesting right now and that people are really, really seeming to dig are the like challenge / achievement modes that we're releasing for free as a download here eventually. Our goal is to get that out before the campaign launches. Right now we're eyeing early, or we're eyeing mid-October for this potential expansion campaign. And we're aiming to get those difficulty mods / achievements out there very, very soon. I can tell you that one of the things that has been, and this was actually suggested by one of our fans, you might even be watching, but one of the, I think, coolest things that I've heard that they're testing right now and seems to be going over really well is actually having your combat stat work as your initiative in battle, which means that it gives you a different reason to upgrade your combat stat, which I know a lot of people tend to avoid. But that's just one example of a bevy of mods that we are testing right now that I think really up the challenge and of the game. I think people are going to be really, really excited and happy about this when we release it. As I know, a lot of our alpha gamers out there feel like the game needs a bump up in difficulty. So that is the first thing. We are releasing for sure.
Follow up real quick to the achievement mode. Can we get achievement mode in some sort of pop-up book form?
We are working on a Elder Scrolls pop-up book. That's not true. We're not doing that. I will be shocked if we ever do another pop-up book ever again. Not because it wasn't the coolest thing. It's my favorite product we've ever released. I'm on record saying that multiple times. Automaton of Shale for Too Many Bones. I think it's the coolest thing we've ever done. It also was so much work and just way beyond what we expected. Mad respect to people who regularly put out pop-up books. They're crazy. It's a lot of work. You need to hire a paper engineer. That's not even a real job, but it is a real job for pop-up books. So, what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, there will be more regions. There will be more regions. Which regions and how many, I am not yet able to say out loud. There will be a meaningful bevy of new skills available to you throughout these regions, and perhaps another expansion or two. I can say if you are fond of beverages high in iron and enjoy working with canines in some capacity, you will probably be excited about some of the content that we are planning. And then in addition to this free challenge mode that we're putting out, achievement / difficulty mod mode, we are also, I've talked about this before, there may also be another product coming that interacts with the Daedric princes in some capacity and offers you, again, additional challenges, additional ways to play the game, maybe even quests you've already completed in new and interesting and exciting ways that change things up. I think I can say with confidence we're not looking at a shortened Mercury's Boots version of the game, partially because you can kind of play one session if you want to now, and that can serve as a complete game, though you don't get a final fight with Deslandra. And two, it's just the story, the heavy story-focused questing nature of this game would require us to develop, I think, things as a truly kind of one-shot scenario. I'm not saying we're never going to do that. I think once we have kind of fleshed out all of the regions for the game that we want to do in the current way that the game works, I think one-shots might be a really fun way to interact with Botsy, but I can also say that is not in the cards right now. Speaking of cards, however, more loot, more items, more encounters, more side quests, that kind of thing are on the way. And as a little teaser for that, though we haven't officially announced this yet, I can also say that we are going to have a timed Gen Con exclusive at the very least that will have a new class and have some new side quests in it as well that we'll be releasing at Gen Con in August. So we will be talking more about that soon. I'm not going to say what's in it yet, but we've been cooking it up for a while.
Yes, specifically.
I always tell you that if I'm winking at you, I'll actually wink at you, and I just winked at you. So, so that is coming. There's a whole bunch more content coming. The free roam mode, I don't think we'll be doing a free roam mode just because, again, we can't infinitely scale the game. We can't infinitely scale the difficulty of the game. Like, it kind of caps out at a certain point because we can't just like have an algorithm running in the background that keeps making things harder or more interesting. And for that reason, free roam in this game doesn't really work. And again, that was sort of like a baseline design philosophy decision that we needed to make from the front end of how this game would work. There are games that do allow more things that are like free roam-esque things like Seventh Continent, Seventh Citadel, things like Iridia, things like I think Sleeping Gods kind of works that way if I'm not mistaken. And all of those games are great. I have nothing bad to say about any of those games. I think they handle that style of adventure really, really well. That's not what we're doing with Botsy, and that's not what we really wanted to do with Botsy. The nature of making a game that kind of allows for that sort of thing to happen means that everything needs to be fixed, and everything needs to be like, every time you go to a certain location, this specific thing happens. Because of the amount of RNG and sort of like randomness that we've built into Botsy, free roam just doesn't quite make as much sense. And again, like the power curve of the game doesn't go up infinitely. We've built the power curve to end after like 3 sessions and kind of have your character like maxed out and really be fine-tuning your character by the end of session 2, so that going into session 3 you've got your character built for the end game that you want to do, if that makes sense. So, but yes, more overland encounters are coming, more side quests are coming, more items are coming, and a lot more classes, skills are coming. We might be working on alternate versions of every race in the game so that you can try out maybe some different racial abilities as well. There's a whole lot more coming. And I think, the variety in your builds, and then you combine that with like the difficulty and achievement modifiers and everything. Like I really think this is going to be a game that can entertain you forever and challenge you infinitely, especially once you see what it's like to like turn on all of these new difficulty and achievement modifiers. It's brutal. Like you can really make this a hyper hardcore tactical strategy game if that's what you're into. I don't think that's what everybody's into, but that's also why we're releasing it for free. If that's the way you prefer to engage with it, go nuts.
Follow up to one of the pieces. Will the content revealed at Gen Con eventually be made available to be purchased by the general public?
Yes, it will.
I think it will be available when it's at Gen Con to the general public.
We're trying to decide. We're trying to decide on that. So
forget what I said.
Here's the thing. Here's just a reality. This is like a business reality discussion. Number one, it will for sure be available on the next campaign. Like full stop. You'll be able to buy it there for sure. We are trying to, in light of the tariff situation, which is still really intense. And if you didn't read the news yesterday, it looks like after this 90-day window where the tariffs are at 30%, they are going to go back up to 55% and likely stay at 55% permanently. Now, there's a chance that maybe like the toys and games industry will be spared to some extent via the way that whatever this deal and law is written, similar to the way that there have been like exceptions and exemptions for things like microchips and technology and that kind of thing. But we're not holding our breath on that, okay? And I have no interest in getting political about this. I have no interest in making big, broad political statements. I will just say that the tariffs really suck for the games industry, and there's no sugarcoating that. Odds are our prices are going to need to go up in the short and maybe long term on products, and odds are it's going to likely reduce our appetite for taking big risks on massive games moving forward in favor of slightly smaller, like more controlled, less risky things. But where that goes is all sort of TBD. But part of the issue, and again, I think this is where tariffs are really going to hurt the industry the most, is that in distribution, so again, your friendly local game store, your companies that primarily sell through game stores, Amazon, that kind of thing, those percentages that things go up in terms of tariffs, like those get passed down the food chain. So it's like, or the supply chain, I should say. So that 55% increase in products, like that gets passed on to the distributor, and then that gets passed on to the retailer. And then by the time your game's actually in store, the price needs to go up like astronomically. For that reason, we are actually starting to pull back on the amount of stuff that we are putting into distribution. We've already pulled Elder Scrolls completely out of distribution right now, aside from the copies that were already sold. And we are looking at more ways to do things that are exclusive on our website, products that might be more exclusive to our website. And that is not an effort to punish the customer in any way, shape, or form. That's not a way to like secretly get you all to pay shipping multiple times on a whole bunch of things. It is purely because when we sell something to you directly, be it via our website or be it via a campaign, we make a lot more margin on that sale. And that is the way that we've built this company, historically speaking. And we finally had the volume that we were starting to, do more of the distribution thing. I think in the coming years, certainly under this presidential administration, as long as these things are in place, you are likely to see a lot of companies kind of retract back into maybe a more direct-to-customer model. We're very thankful for all of you. We're very thankful for our backers, our community that has kind of already been doing that for us for years and trusting us with that for years. I think especially in the short term, you can expect us to see more of that kind of thing. So, but in order to generate interest in our website, in order to generate, like traffic to our website and get people to like come and pay attention, we do need to do things like Riffle. We've talked about Riffle before. People still don't like the way that we handle Riffle. It is what it is. It is an event when Riffle is available on our website, and it drives a lot of traffic and a lot of sales. It's not to generate FOMO. It is purely something that generates interest. And so, anyway, this Gen Con release, we haven't exactly decided how we are going to handle releasing it in terms of like its official mainstream release. But odds are it will be a chiptheorygames.com web exclusive that we just sell there, similar to the Cheeses of Tamriel, which we are also trying to keep a web store exclusive, at least for the time being. I hope that makes sense.
Is the Gen Con stuff going to be free at Gen Con or just released then? It will not be free.
It will not be free.
Don't know if it has a price.
Yeah, it will not be free. I think it's between $10 and $15, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't hold us to that.
Yeah, don't hold me. It's not more than 15. I know that. I can't
59.
remember. I can't remember what the final MSRP we settled in on for that is.
And then I will just say some questions popping up again about language versions. We've covered that earlier in the stream, so if you want the answer right now, check earlier in the stream for the most up-to-date, but short
There's
answer
an update coming soon
coming.
through GameFound on language editions. That I can assure you of.
Also, a comment in French that just auto-translated to something that I thought was pretty good is, not having been able to follow your live at this time, I hope there will be a summary of what has been said about the French version of the Elder Scroll Botsy on the updates of GameFound. Happy alive to all.
Happy alive to you as well. Yes. Updates coming. Language editions coming. It's coming. I promise.
How up-to-date are the tutorials for Roth that were posted last year? I think I'm playing solo right, but you never know. I am working on a better solo video. I think the one that's up is pretty accurate, but I think there's about one or two core things that were changed. I don't think they're game-breaking, but they're slightly different. And then I have actually just unlisted our regular PvP how to play because Rodney from Watch It Play did that one. So check that out for that.
I'm checking my phone to see actually if if I've gotten a message from our language correspondent, so to speak, regarding the language stuff to see if
sure.
And we have not yet gotten an answer on the thing that we were waiting for. But okay. That is, again, there's literally one thing holding up a update for tests. So anyway.
Yeah. I think the one Botsy question that you did not cover there was just any chance that you might be doing more map tiles for Botsy in the future.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I don't I don't think so right now. Maybe in the future. I don't think we have any coming in the campaign unless I'm mistaken.
$20 million stretch goal.
I think that the deal is that mechanically, I don't think we're interested in really change, because again, like mechanically speaking, it's the cards, it's the delve cards that drive really what's happening on those tiles. So like having just more tiles doesn't affect the game in a like super meaningful way in terms of like where those icons are placed and that kind of thing. Like, yeah, you might 6 hex tile, you know, the enemy might move from here to like here, which is like fine, but ultimately doesn't actually materially impact the like tactics that you're using in a major way. Really, what's a fam? I understand that desire. It's very expensive to do that for what ultimately is just an aesthetic change at its core. It's expensive in art because that like map art tends to be expensive to get made, but then also like those die cut neoprene tiles, believe it or not, even though they seem like they're small, are actually like materially more expensive than even like per square inch of neoprene or square centimeter of neoprene. They are materially more expensive than like even like the edge stitched mats and that kind of thing. They are fairly meticulous in the way that they have to be produced and die cut. And so yeah, I think probably not. Don't hold me to that forever, but probably not. Probably not right now. And not on this campaign. I'm 99.9% sure we're not looking at it for the fall campaign.
And then follow up on that was raised. Can we maybe get a new starting tile that matches the Valenwood Clash mat? My guess would be no, because the starting tile, then we would have to make one that matches Morrowind.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that is something. I mean, again, we're very interested in giving the community something that they want. But we need to maybe what'll happen if there's a huge outcry for that, maybe we'll do a poll on the campaign and we'll look at something like that. But again, right now it is because it's purely aesthetic. I don't think we're likely planning on that. It's purely aesthetic, and again, it's expensive. It's more expensive than it should be for something that seems so like small and insignificant. So, yeah.
Let me see here. Also, if you like Roth as well, that one's coming in. Make sure to give that a rating on BGG. And again, if you don't like,
I'm going to start unboxing this production copy of Roth on stream, by the way.
Yeah, you can do that.
I don't have my personal copy yet.
Yeah, I had to beg to get this one. How is Cloudspire coming along? And when is the next Cloudspire campaign update coming?
It is. I mentioned earlier in this very stream, Cloudspire is coming along super well. We're like in the fumes of proofing it, basically. And Cloudspire is a very meticulous game to proof because like every little, especially when it comes to like the solo stuff, every little parentheses is a singular parentheses a parenthesis.
A parenthesis.
Is parentheses plural, or is it one of those things that's always...
I think it's always a parenthesis.
Okay. Anyway.
And then you would just put
every little parenthesis...
just a little... If we're in the top-down camera, your phone is fully in the shot in case you have like
you guys are gonna
notification pop-ups that are really personal and embarrassing.
Yeah, you guys are going to see all of the... all of the mean things that my friends text me while I'm on stream.
Look at this guy. He stinks. He looks like he stinks. Look at how stinky he looks.
Yeah, so like the Cloudspire proofing process takes a very, very, very long time, but it's coming along very, very well. We don't anticipate any delays at this point, and I do know that I owe y'all an update. The website launch, and then like just there's been lots of stuff going on here behind the scenes in the last few weeks has got me slightly delayed, and I apologize for that. But things are coming along very, very nicely, very, very nicely.
I think we were slightly. I have not seen the inside of this on a fresh pack one yet. I think we're slightly cowardly by not writing to the Rothy.
Yeah. No. Okay. I'm gonna. Wow. Has the whole desiccant thing. This is just a little tab now, or a little like piece of paper. We're not putting in packets that we can eat anymore.
You can eat the paper.
What do they expect me to eat?
the paper. You just put it on your tongue and let
It's
it dissolve.
It's too glossy. It's too chewy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dice tutorial. So yeah, there was a question about solo and playing it right, and that like check out the Dice tutorial if you haven't. By the way, it's great. Diced is great. We're going to be doing Diced on all the things moving forward. So yeah, rulebook here. We've shown off this before, but if you haven't seen one, like this is the first time I've opened one like purely fresh and like out of the shrink. Rulebook. You got your reference cards in here. Oh, here's the one I can eat. Here's the one I can eat. Now I won't be hungry. And we've got the big battle mat. We've got dice. These dice are so pretty. This game is so pretty. It makes me want to puke neon all over like things like the Elder Scrolls.
So if you eat this game, you will puke neon because you shouldn't eat it. So it's not edible.
We've got neon mats.
You can play it in the water, but you can't eat it. Keep that in mind. Somebody had questions about Roth. They said the rules seem, I'm going to paraphrase and say, rough. Is that being worked on? Is that a consideration at all? I think the rules are what they are. And if there's a reprint of Roth, they might, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there may be some
clarifications, some
made
FAQ stuff. An FAQ will be assembled for Roth.
Yes.
It is just now getting to people. I will say this too about Discord versus like reality is just, stuff seems really like it's really important and right now it needs to be solved, but it will be. Like issues pop up, but like the game is just getting to people now. So FAQs take a while to put together.
Mm-hmm.
Some people had questions about solo co-op in Roth. I actually got back and forth on it. It looks like people say it's too hard, too easy. Some people are saying that is not the case.
here's what I would say.
A good time with it.
Yeah, here's what I would say about solo and co-op in Roth. Aside from the rules discussion, on the difficulty discussion specifically. So the variable difficulty in Roth, both the hyper hard, you know, what some have said is sometimes borderline impossible, to the like very easy, that is a feature, not a bug. And we've talked a little bit about this on previous streams before too, but basically the idea here, and this is similar, like this is a similar, I mean, depending on how you look at it, it's a similar problem and or feature or bug as burn cycle in some respects, where certain scenarios are going to be a lot harder depending on your faction choice or choices than others. And that is the asymmetrical nature of the game meant that we could either do it like Cloudspire, which is a hyper meticulous, we're talking months of design and development and testing work to like get every single scenario like balanced on the absolute edge of a razor. Now, part of the issue with that, now that leads to like really great gameplay and scenarios and that kind of thing, but it also takes a massive amount of development resources, and it also means that those scenarios are kind of like one and done. Meaning you play them, you beat them, you master them, you kind of figure out the trick to a specific scenario, and you're not super likely to end up coming back to it in a meaningful way. And so we love that approach. Obviously, we've done that approach with Cloudspire, and it works great. But it also is like there's a limited amount of payoff. Translate that or change that up, and you look at something like Burn Cycle, and it's like the mission that you're doing plus the bots that you're bringing into that mission. They vastly vary how tense, how much tension is in a given scenario, how challenging is this given scenario is, etc. With a game as I don't think Roth is a terribly light game. But for a chip theory game, it's on the lighter side of the type of thing that we do, but still with a lot of asymmetry. We wanted this to be easy to pick up and play, easy to jump into, and we didn't want to spend like years hyper focusing on like every little tiny little detail of every scenario for one specific faction. And every scenario is also soloable or co-opable, which adds another layer of like, you know, balance and that kind of thing. So so I mean this when I say it. We intentionally designed it so that certain scenarios will be materially easier or harder depending on your faction selection. If a scenario is too hard with the factions that you've selected, try it out with a different faction. Try different strategies. That is part of the experience. That is part of the fun. That is part of the. It's just a part of the game. That's the way that we designed it. Some people love Burn Cycle and love that approach where it's like, oh man, like trying to put together the right or trying to find the right faction for the given scenario, the right bot for the right scenario, is really, really fun. That's a part of the experience. Other people prefer the much more meticulous, like curated Cloudspire thing. And they don't mind that they're probably not going to go back to that scenario once they beat it. That is the nature of the game. That is the nature of the beast. That is intentional. That is an intentional thing that we have done on this game. So that's what I'll say about that. And we'll have an update coming out, like talking more about that side of things too in the near future. So
as we have hit the hour of being in this, I will mention once more, if you enjoy stuff like this, streams like these, make sure to give this stream a like. It helps us out a lot. And if you want to be informed when we do more of these, make sure to subscribe to the channel to be informed. Somebody had a comment regarding Roth difficulty this for solo scenario. They said, love the variance and difficulty of scenarios, but would appreciate if you guys could put together some sort of general difficulty rating of all scenarios. It's tough when you consider certain factions. Mm-hmm. I would love and agree with that, but I also know it's a big time sink, I'm sure, for testing everything against everything and then trying to consider if you're the only person who plays that way with that faction. But I do like the idea.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, people have asked for that for Burn Cycle as well. Part of the thing is that it's, yeah, it seems like a really, really easy thing to put together, but it also can be, especially when you consider that every faction has 3 different feats that they can use, it can be deceptively challenging to put together something like that. And then also, like, then sometimes you think something was easy, somebody else thought it was hard, and then they yell at you when you tell them that it's easy, and they're like, no, it's actually impossible, and it's all debatable. We ran into, like, there's the difficulty ratings on the gear locks for Too Many Bones, and we still hear from people like, I don't agree with your ratings at all, and we're like, okay.
Yeah, I also like, I don't know, I love Root. I don't like that Root is designed in such a way where there has to be a thing at the back that says I cannot play this faction against this faction if I want to have a good time, personally. But you know.
But anyway, again, critique heard, and I at the very least, I think it might be wise to put together like, hey, we recommend starting with like these 5 scenarios using these specific factions. That, especially when you're jumping in, that is probably something that would have been nice to include in the game, and it is probably something that we could look at offering online at some point.
How many Trove Chests are we getting this year?
I
mean, I would say we're getting a restock on Bones ones.
Yeah,
there's a Cloudspire. I mean,
we're not getting like more, at least in any significant way. We're not getting like more than what was pre-ordered over the holidays.
So I think you're reading this question as I did initially, but I think the question is how many variations on a Trove Chest like thing are we getting? Because we're getting a cloud storage.
We are getting a Trove Chest and a cloud storage.
And a big 20 strong holding thing.
Yeah, and the 20 stronghold, which is not really a Trove Chest per se. Very different because it's made from an entirely different material. But yeah, those are coming as well.
Yeah.
Those are coming as well. If the question is specifically how many literal Trove Chests are we getting, as in like, are we going to make them available for sale? The answer will be that if we do another round of pre-orders on Bones Trove Chests, that will happen over the holidays, as it always does.
Also,
because those are made to order. And tariffs have made Trove Chests a much bigger headache than they even were already.
And I can say they were never not a headache.
Had the tariff stayed at 150%, there was a very real chance we were going to be refunding U.S. customers for their Bones Trove Chests and just saying, sorry, like we can't afford to bring them over without charging you like $250 for it. So, yeah, they're spendy to make. They take a long time to make. They're very spendy to ship, both ocean freight wise because they're so big and bulky, and through the actual mail service. So, yeah. Anyway, that is all for the time being. Will we do an Elder Scrolls Trove Chest equivalent? Probably. I don't know if it'll be on this campaign or not, but we will most likely offer one of those eventually because everybody always asks for them. So, but
somebody had a question on that recent one you were just mentioning, the Trove Chest delivery. Is there any sort of delivery update for, I guess, US, UK, etc.? Did you do that? I don't remember if you covered Trove Chest.
Yeah, I would need to. My understanding is that they're on their way. They're on their way. I know
Josh the Third is kind of in the chat, so
yeah, Josh Schwartz. If you are
a better answer,
if you are in the chat and care to give a better update than I have, my understanding though is that they are on their way or near on their way to most locations. So that's my understanding. Again, there is a container arriving next week. I think it's primarily Bones restock stuff. I don't think the Trove Chests are arriving next week, but I would need to triple check on that.
The Hoplo magnetic tokens have quickly become my favorite game add-on across all of my games. Any chance of extending that token style to other CTG IPs to replace things like status dice or temporary effects?
Oh man, no, no, not really. Especially because a lot of like the status dice and that kind of thing like have counters on them that count down, things like poison and that. On Botsy, obviously things go in your cooldown track and it doesn't work the same way. But probably not. Those were a funny thing. There are mixed feelings about those in inside the building. It's interesting to hear somebody say they like them so much because we still, there's a lot of people here that are kind of like, I just don't think they're necessary. They're kind of almost annoying to deal with. But clearly you don't feel that way, and that's awesome. That's great. That means that they're doing exactly what we hoped that they would do. But yeah, probably not. Probably not. And also, especially the other thing about like the Hoplo stuff was we were pretty sure this was the end of what we were doing with Hoplo this last round. Doing tokens that have status effects and that kind of thing on them in a similar way that we want to be pretty sure we know like the full roadmap of a product before we offer a Trove Chest for it. Status effects and that kind of thing kind of need to be a similar thing where if we think we're going to add more status effects in the future potentially, we don't want to release a big thing of tokens and then need to update it with like 3 new magnetic tokens for these 3 weird abilities we added toward the end of development. So also they're just very expensive like to make. So I don't know, probably not. Sorry if you really like them.
They're cool.
Apologize.
Just stock up and then put like Post-its on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Any info on when you'll announce all of the Awaken Realms 20 strong decks beyond Nemesis?
Yes, right now.
Will you ever do an Elder Scrolls 20 strong?
I'm going to announce them right now.
Really?
To you on camera.
Wow.
Yes.
These have not been announced.
These have not been announced, and I'm only announcing them on camera because you asked.
We weren't going to do it.
We weren't going to do it, but now...
We told ourselves we would never do this.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We are doing 20 strong Nemesis.
Very funny if that's where it stops.
And we are also doing... This is one of those things. I bet on myself and lost in the last 30 seconds, and you should know that. I was like, what are the funniest, like, lamest Awaken Realms games that nobody likes at all and everybody has forgotten about and are from 100 years ago? And I don't think there actually are really any. So I was like, I was going to jokingly give you those and have everybody be like, aw. And then be like, no, just kidding. I think I can confidently say, we have submitted gameplay footage of all 3 of these to Awaken Realms, and we are simply awaiting their feedback. I will simply just caveat this by saying there's always a chance that like they see our gameplay for one of them and are like, well, that sucks and we hate it, and so no, don't do that. But assuming everything goes well, and they've been so great and so easy to work with thus far, so I'm genuinely not concerned in the least. And the 3 new decks are really great. But the 3 decks are Nemesis, Tainted Grail, and Aetherfields. So that is what we are looking at for that campaign. Nemesis, Tainted Grail, and Aetherfields. An Awaken Realms trilogy. That campaign, no determination on exactly when it is going to run just yet, because we don't want to run it until Tanglewoods has fulfilled, until Tanglewoods English at least has fulfilled. And that is probably going to be sometime in August, most likely. So we're kind of waiting and seeing when all of that stuff is able to get here finally and get fulfilled. And then we will be announcing the date of that campaign based on fulfillment of Tanglewoods, because obviously it would be kind of silly to be running a campaign before we fulfilled the last campaign for 20 Strong. Tariffs have kind of jacked things up to a degree. The rule book situation where we had to switch it from a fold out to a saddle stitch book also had a material impact on the timelines there, but everything's should be smooth sailing from here. So,
and as somebody who has played all 3 of those new decks, they're really neat. They're really, really neat, and they all work very differently. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, I don't know much about 20 Strong. Going to have to check that out. I promised myself I wouldn't buy anything but expansions this year, though. 20 Strong is almost only expansions, if you consider.
You could make the argument.
You could make the argument that the base game is just 20 dice and a dial and a set of rules.
Plus an expansion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So go crazy.
I think you touched on it, but if you have more thoughts, would be interesting to hear what the current state of tariff concerns / non-concerns are.
Yeah, I did touch a little bit on it. And again, if you missed it, they're at 30% right now for a 90-day window that I think expires in August, end of August or something. And then they are apparently, according to the news yesterday, likely going to permanently go up to 55%. Again, I'm not interested in getting remotely political here. I'm not going to sit here and like rag on one side of the aisle or the other. All I will say is that these tariffs really, really, really suck for the board game industry. Just full stop. I'm not going to comment on whether or not I think they might bring production or manufacturing jobs back to the United States. Maybe they will. I don't know. I'm not an economist, and I am not an owner of a manufacturing plant. I can only speak for the board games industry. And as many, 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 many other people have said, and have said much better than me, folks from Cephalofair and from Stonemeyer and from other places, China is objectively like the best and arguably only real place you can make board games affordably at the scale and the quality level that folks expect now in the hobby board games industry. There are other countries that you can produce board games in theoretically, Vietnam being the second best option, but even Vietnam tends to be like 20 to 25% more expensive on the production side of things. And the other piece of the equation is expediency. So producing a game in Vietnam tends to be, again, 20 to 30% more expensive and will take 1 to 2 months longer than it will take in China. It's purely due to infrastructure. That's purely due to infrastructure. The concerns that we have around a lot of that, and I say we, I'm talking about the board games industry, is that you also can't build infrastructure overnight. The current president is in office for another 3 or so years, right? And we don't think that a whole lot of other countries, particularly the United States, are going to like suddenly decide to spin up construction of a lot of these factories that would be required to move production elsewhere in the next 3 years, knowing that after this presidency, there's a decent chance that all of this gets rolled back and things go back to the way that they were. So it's not necessarily a great investment to build $1 billion factory here in the United States when, again, in 3 years, like it may all be for naught because everybody just takes their production back to China. So so that's like that's a broad statement I have on just like how it affects the board game industry in general. It sucks. It straight up sucks. It's bad. It's bad for our industry. That's not a blanket statement necessarily across every single thing on the planet. I'd sit down and talk to you about that kind of stuff if you came over to CTG HQ and we grabbed a beer. I'd be happy to share more personal thoughts on that. But just from an objective standpoint, it sucks for the board game industry. It's going to be bad. It's going to likely close some companies, full stop. It already has. Were those companies already on the edge and maybe going to go out of business anyway? I don't know. I don't know anybody's books but Chip Theory's books. So I can't speak to that. But it will have a very, very negative, bad impact on a whole bunch of other companies. Prices almost certainly are going to go up, and they're going to go up noticeably across the board. We have been slow to make any pricing decisions aside from we charged a little more for shipping, or I shouldn't say we charged more. We subsidized less shipping on Dragons of Etch and Stone than we were originally going to try and mitigate tariffs to an extent. But I think you'll see prices go up a solid, hefty amount across the board games industry. And generally what we see when we raise prices is that we sell less units. And so prices will go up in order to try and hang on to the same percentage margin that companies are used to on their games, but they will sell less of them because there's less consumer dollars to go around, and that will be bad. As it relates to Chip Theory's health and like our ability to like weather this, our ability to stick around, we are not presently concerned that like we're in any sort of financial danger or that this is going to be like something that ultimately puts us out of business. I think we'll be able to sustain things just fine, but it will absolutely impact the types of things we do and the types of risks we take, and some of the other things that we have our hand in. So I think you're going to see us take a look at like, can we do more smaller games? Can we do things that are less risky, like 20 Strong, Dragons of Etch and Stone, those types of things, because a very, very expensive game that doesn't perform at the level that we hoped or expected it would now becomes a much bigger albatross around our necks because the inventory was that much more expensive. And if it doesn't sell, it just sits in a warehouse and we paid a whole bunch of money for it. So yeah, so Chip Theory is here to stay. We're a very, very healthy company. We're a debt-free company, which is something that I think a lot of board game companies can't fathom, and that's not the case for them. But it's going to impact growth significantly. It's going to impact our ability to, continue to expand wages and benefits and that kind of thing for our employees, most likely, which is a bummer for all of us. But I don't think we are in like existential danger, if that at all was like the question behind that question. I think that's about what I have to say about all that stuff.
So you're saying I should buy CTG stocks?
Yes.
You should. And those are offered in board games. So make sure to pick those up.
Yes. We'll send you a neoprene stock certificate.
Does this mean anything for Botsy specifically?
I don't think so. It might mean a price increase. Again, we might need to just raise prices across the board. That's reality. We're talking to ZeniMax and Bethesda about it, and about like, again, part of the thing that we haven't signed the new extended contract with them just yet is we're talking to them about the impact of tariffs and like, and the impact of the royalties that we pay them, and the impact of like the shipping costs and all of those types of things. So, and again, that's not nothing's like in danger, I don't think, of not being signed, but it's just like we just have another level of due diligence that we need to do this second go around. And again, it may end up raising the price of the base game specifically moving forward, and that may kick in, again, around the time that we launch the new campaign. But no decisions have been made yet. Again, I'm also partially reacting to news from yesterday that I haven't even had a chance to meaningfully talk to our leadership team here. We haven't had a chance to sit down and talk about it yet, and what 55% permanently means for us. We need to do some number crunching to even figure out what that all looks like for us. So but Botsy is selling super well, super well. We're so pleased with it. We're so pleased with the reception of it. And Botsy is certainly here to stay. We have no intention of suddenly abandoning that ship. Where it starts to get risky would be like, hey, what's our next new huge big box IP that isn't Too Many Bones, or isn't Elder Scrolls, or isn't a license of some kind that people are really connected to. So if we wanted to say spin up Burn Cycle and start developing a Burn Cycle of some kind tomorrow that is a brand new IP in a $150 box, deluxe componentry, giant footprint, etc., those types of things are much more risky. And so I don't know. I think that will make sense as you see as we start to unveil the product pipeline for 2020 for 2026 and what that might look like. You'll probably see that reflected a little bit. I'm not ready to announce any of that stuff yet, but you will see that it certainly part of what we're doing is reacting to the market conditions in some respect. So.
Somebody said, are we allowed to ask how well Botsy has performed financially outside of crowdfunding?
You're allowed to ask. You're allowed to ask whatever you want of me. It's doing well. It's doing well for us. Yeah, that's. I'm again the numbers. I could give you raw numbers, but they wouldn't be meaningful because without understanding how our company's overhead and everything works, it wouldn't be beneficial. But yeah, it's doing very well. We're very pleased with the reception and the sales so far.
I think you actively took this one on. Are you actively trying to grab another big IP to develop another massive game, Botsy level?
We are not actively trying to do that. We're certainly contemplating it, because how can you not, right? And now that we have the Elder Scrolls under our belt, and now that people have seen the way that we treated it like it was a CTG's baby, right? Obviously there's a ton of love that went into that you don't necessarily see in other licensed products. I hope you see that. I mean, it goes without saying that we could probably go out and ask within reason for almost anything, and we'd probably have good results. I talk about this in a lot of streams. It's that fine line between money, profitability, and passion, right? So our development team was very burned out on the world of the Elder Scrolls by the time we finished Botsy. In a way that you don't get quite as burned out working on your own IP and your own world and your own creativity. So there's always everybody, obviously the obvious connection is Fallout, right? Everybody's asking us, are you going to do Fallout? You're already working with Bethesda. Obviously that would probably make a ton of money. Because Fallout's huge right now with the TV show and all that kind of thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we ourselves here internally all have a huge passion for Fallout and want to dive back into something that's that insane and that huge, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's always this fine line. It's we could do that and we'd probably make a lot of money. Are we feeling that's where our passion and our energy is right now? Not necessarily. So So yeah, we may we know also that's like kind of like if we were to fall into like some kind of financial danger though, we also know that it's not easy because working on Elder Scrolls was the hardest thing I think this company's ever done. But it's a safe way to kind of guarantee that we would come out of that like with a nice healthy profit when it was all said and done. So it's give and take. Do we do the pop-up book, or do we do the the obvious new like Too Many Bones expansion? That it's like those types of conversations. We wanted to do the pop-up book because it was crazy. It would have been way more profitable if we had just done a like more standard Too Many Bones expansion rather than that pop-up book. So there's it's just give and take all the time in this industry. That's why it took us so long to come back to Cloudspire, because we needed to have enough money in the bank that we could confidently do Cloudspire, whether it had a huge amount of success or not. I'm talking about the Harbinger campaign. Thankfully, it actually had a huge amount of funding, and it was really great, and it vastly outperformed what we expected it to. But yeah, you just never know. I will say it is likely that the next big box swing thing that we do here will likely be Too Many Bones 2. So I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm not formally announcing that because it's still in a very embryonic stage. But that is, I would say, and again, that's not that risky for us, right? Like everybody loves Too Many Bones. We know everybody loves the Too Many Bones universe. It's got our sense of humor all over it. So that if we want to do another big box in a period of like unstable market conditions in some capacity, that is a safer way to approach that experience because we know that people are already passionate about that universe. So, yeah.
Did we talk about Awaken Realms launch date for that one?
A little bit, yeah. So again, the Awaken Realms launch date is TBD because number one, it is going to be English only, almost certainly, and number two, we're going to wait until we have Tanglewood's fulfilled, or at least we're confident about Tanglewood's fulfillment timelines before we launch that campaign. We don't want people waiting on their English Tanglewood stuff while we're trying to get more money out of you for new 20 strong decks. We want to prove that we're good on our word, giving you the last thing you bought before we try to get money for a new thing.
Is there any teaser for Too Many Bones 2?
Nope, there is not.
How's the cloud storage looking?
Great.
Love it.
It's thicker. It's thicker and sturdier than the. It looks basically exactly the same. Again, that's been the thing that like we've been working on art for the most, because there's a lot of high detail art like on the drawers and that kind of thing. But I did show it off. I think maybe even in the last. I'm way behind on Cloudspire updates. I'm sorry, Cloudspire backers. But I think in the last Cloudspire update, I showed off the white box version, and it really hasn't changed materially from that. So.
When will we see the next new big game?
I just kind of covered that to an extent. Yeah. But if we were going to do a big game next year, again, it would likely be Too Many Bones 2, and it would likely be in the fall.
Any hints on those crowdfunding campaigns for 2026?
No.
Any update on? I got that. Any news on 20 strong decks? How many Elder Scrolls cheese packs do I need?
Definitely only one. Definitely only one.
The playmat storage / carrying case for Botsy is really nice. Any chance of seeing a generic version for other CTG playmats?
No plans at the moment. I don't hate that idea. I don't hate that. One of the issues would just be that they're all different sizes. So I don't know how universal we could make it, but I think the Botsy one would probably work fine for like the burn cycle and the Cloudspire one. I think the Cloudspire one is just not as long as this one, but I think it's about this deep. I'd have to look.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't hate that idea. We're not planning on it, but maybe.
Just joined. Was Tanglewoods already covered? Will there be updated playthroughs of the white and gold that were shown in prototype ahead of fulfillment? Mm-hmm. I would be happy to do a live stream of those when we have them. We just don't have them.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the update, we expect that we will have like fully completed final production copies of all of the Tanglewood stuff. I think they're planning on having a lot of it start to come off the line like tomorrow, if I remember right. And I haven't. I should mention that that Josh Carlson was speaking with Gameland last night, and there may be a number of updates that I am not privy to yet. So I may walk out of this stream and find out that there's decks on their way already. I don't know, but Tanglewood's production and manufacturing is like coming to a conclusion here very, very soon. So yeah, we will have lots of stuff, and as soon as we have those decks, my goodness, I cannot wait to get some streams showing off all of that stuff.
It looks very nice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I think you all are just going to be over the moon impressed with all of the Tanglewood stuff when it arrives. I can't wait. I'm so excited for it.
Will there be more companions coming for Botsy? Yes.
I think I don't know that. I genuinely don't know the answer to that question.
I can almost guarantee the answer is yes.
I mean, per region, yes. Yeah, I mean, like there's always like available companions and that kind of thing in each region. So, yeah.
What kind of knots do you suggest to tie people up to play all 3 Botsy sessions in one go?
Sorry, what was the first part of that question?
What kind of knots do you suggest tying people up with to play all 3 Botsy sessions in one go? See, I would suggest Slipknot, because if you put on that self-titled album, people just won't want to leave. Yes. I don't even know how to respond to that. More region-specific encounters for existing regions coming by any chance? I don't think that is planned at the moment.
Wait, more region-specific
so for instance,
for existing regions?
Yeah, so there's like 8.
Yeah, I don't believe that's in the cards, no pun intended, right now. I don't believe that's in the cards right now. I think we're looking at more general encounters, if I'm not. There will be, we're planning on this campaign for there basically to be similar to the Thieves Trove that we did on the original campaign, which is included in your box. You know that already.
It's important to mention often. There's no exclusives.
But we're looking at basically doing a similar thing on this campaign where there's effectively a not limitless, but nearly limitless, like micro, and not even the Thieves Trove didn't end up being micro at all, but kind of micro expansion, separate expansion that is stretch goals only and like continues to grow and is just like side quests and encounter cards and that kind of thing. That could reach, an absurd amount of cards by the time it's all said and done. So I think that's the plan, but I think it's general stuff that we're mostly putting in there. I don't think there's anything region specific. That said, I might be wrong because I have not been working on that product in the slightest, and I have not been planning stretch goals in the slightest as of yet. We're only now really starting to, again, all of this tariff stuff. One of the biggest negative impacts it's had on us is just like we've needed to like hit pause for a couple months on just a whole bunch of things while we kind of waited out the storm and waited to see what was happening. So there's knock-on effects of things like, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to run a test campaign this year necessarily. We weren't sure that we were going to be able to run a 20 strong campaign necessarily. The release timeline wasn't really being impacted, but the campaign timing is massively impacted because we would have loved to have Tanglewoods here already, and then we would be confidently talking about the 20 strong Awakened Realms campaign running in like early August or maybe even late July. Instead, there's just like this, things keep getting bumped out, and because now the Awakened Realms campaign needs to run so late, there was an open question of can we still fit in the Elder Scrolls campaign this year, or does that need to shift to next year so that we don't have like 2 campaigns basically like ending and starting like back to back. So for that reason, some of the things like stretch goals and the planning for a lot of that stuff has been delayed beyond where it might have normally been at this stage in the game.
For the upcoming 20 strong campaign, is there any chance we're getting a dice tower like the one for Hoplo for 20 strong?
Maybe. I don't know that we've talked about that. You know, I think people will probably be very busy with their massively oversized 20 stronghold dice tray.
Oh, that dice tray
that is
so
not a tower
good.
but is a tray. We could look at that. Those are the types of things that tend to sell pretty well on campaigns and don't necessarily sell super well after the fact. But we could certainly look at that for this campaign. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think that we've talked about it necessarily. Mostly because those storage options have built-in rolling options, sort of like automatically.
Build one into the. This isn't how 20 Strong works, but what's it called? There's a game that built a dice tower into their box. And it just like had a hole in the top that you poured stuff into, and it came out of the front of the box. Yeah. Question, I got Neon Rain at UKGE, and I was surprised by how good it is. Is there any plans for...
We don't release bad things here.
They said, in retrospect, I should have known better. Is there any plans for expansions or similar games in this line?
Yeah. Go buy Neon Rain, by the way. Like, go buy it. Like, show Manny some love. It's a great little dueling game.
Yeah, that game's great. You should just add it to any chip theory order that you're making from the site. Just add that one in, because it's...
And for that matter, if you love Manny, go back Excalibur from Roxley on Kickstarter right now as well. Manny's great. Manny is prolific. Manny does really, really cool stuff. So in the Neon Knight line, we are releasing at Gen Con a game called Fight 5. It's pretty different from Neon Rain. It's kind of designed to be more in the more in the like Flip 7, Fuji Flush, Skip Bow, like whatever, that style of
at least like, one content creator said it was this year's Flip 7.
This year's Flip 7, I think, was said by...
That's Ruel.
Ruel Gaviola said that.
And you know what Flip 7 is? The best game ever made. They printed it on the box.
They printed it right there on the box.
Flip 7 is great. Right there.
Yeah. So what am I trying to say? Fight 5 is definitely lighter than Neon Rain, but it's like a family weight card game you could play with literally anyone. And it's a spin on War. The crappy game where if you have aces in your deck when you start, you basically win, and if you don't, you lose. So Manny took War and made it multiplayer instead of just dueling, and Manny and his
good. He also made it good.
What was that?
He also made it good.
Yes.
Important to distinguish.
Yeah, sorry, I was busy giving credits. So Aaron Hine is a designer that Manny works with a lot. And Fight 5 is really, really great. It's up to 5 players, Fight 5, right? And that will be releasing at Gen Con, and we will have a PVC deluxe version of that, and there will be a retail version that we will be pushing into distribution. We are planning a promotion at Gen Con, actually, if you come and buy it, where if you come and buy the deluxe version from us, you get a free copy of the retail version that you can give to a friend or a grandma. I say that because I played a lot of War with my grandma when I was growing up, because I thought that game was great, and I was wrong.
Only family member you're allowed to give it to.
Yeah, but if you have a grandma that you played War with, the retail version is great for grandma. No, but for real, if you come and buy the deluxe version from us at our booth, you're going to get while supplies last, you're going to get a free copy of the retail version that you can give to a friend. We're really excited about getting the word about this game out there, because it's the first, I think, chip theory adjacent product we've ever put out that is truly like for everyone. Like, it's genuinely for everyone. And it's a really, really great game. In addition to that, we are working with Manny on another game that is heavier. Not in its rule set. Actually, I think in its rule set it's lighter. But it is a really, really like tactical, cutthroat strategy game that we will likely be doing a campaign for, a Neon Knight campaign for next year sometime. That I cannot wait to talk about. It is such a good game, and it is so It's so deceptively cutthroat and tactical. And it has drafting in it, which is my favorite board game mechanism, personally. It's really, really good, and it's got this cute, Manny-style artwork on top of it that betrays what a deep tactical strategy game it is. It's really great. Can't wait. We're going to be starting to tease that toward the end of this year. There will be, I think, some promo stuff for it coming that you will see eventually. I can't talk about it just yet. But yeah, so like in the Neon Knight line, by the end of next year, there will be like the family weight thing. There will be the midweight dueling thing, which is Neon Rain. And then there will be like the very hyper tactical thing that we can't talk about yet. And all of these are going to be imminently affordable. Like that is a huge part of what we're doing with the Neon Knight line. Manny doesn't have a problem with like hyper deluxe production. That's he certainly likes interacting with that kind of thing. But his biggest thing is he just wants everybody to be able to play his stuff. And so like keeping the price point to a like relatively affordable level is a huge part of what Manny is all about. And that's what we're trying to do across the whole Neon Knight line, where we have like a super affordable retail version, and then the deluxe kind of like almost chip theory treatment on the deluxe versions of that stuff.
Important follow-up question. They said, if you're not giving the deluxe version to your grandma, can you even call yourself a grandson?
That's a fair question. Listen, that's between you and your grandma.
That's true.
That's not for me to decide.
Are we allowed to give it to a different family member if we have no more grandmas? This is a question for me.
I'll allow it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just an idea. I got the Burn Cycle guide cards set, and they are so good. It would be great to make something similar for Hoplo, Victorum, and Botsy.
Are you talking about like the reference cards?
I think so.
Like the extra reference card pack that we did?
Yep. So just something someone liked.
Fair enough.
For smaller games, we are taking a very long time to answer questions. So some of these may be referencing something you said long ago. Okay. But for smaller games, do you mean something akin to Roth? I think you were saying we're trying to make more smaller games and less massive games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would for us, I would classify a smaller game as anything in the like $15 to $60 range. So again, Dragons of Etch and Stone is like part of that thesis as well. And again, if you missed it, that is already like done. We are getting ready to send that to print. So
if I could deploy many of the same enemies in Botsy, example 4 skeletons, do you think it would unbalance the game, or is the only one of each enemy policy more of a market decision to save chips? I would say I don't think it would mess with balance. There's probably some enemies that you shouldn't have multiples of, but I think if you polled people, 99% of people would want unique enemies versus doubles of.
Yeah, that was really more of a decision that we just wanted massive variety.
Yeah,
massive variety, and there was a limit on componentry, like what we could do, and we figured it was going to be much more intriguing to do a unique enemy on every single side of every single enemy chip than to release 5 skeleton chips and 5 mud crab chips and 5 I'm forgetting names of other enemies.
Bog
dogs, yeah. And what's the one I'm thinking of?
I keep naming them. Spriggan?
No, not Spriggan. It was like one of the very first enemies that I worked on in the game. I don't even think that the design ended up sticking. I don't even know. Doesn't matter.
You'll come back to it.
Doesn't matter.
I'm new to CTG.
Atronach. Flame Atronach.
Flame
That's
Atronach.
Yeah.
I'm new to CTG. What is Riffle?
That's none of your business.
Yeah, it's a secret.
Riffle. Riffle is a 19th pseudo-secret gear lock that uses a deck of cards as opposed to 6 skill dice. So we've replaced 6 of the skill dice for that character with a deck of cards. And Riffle operates with like hand management, with like poker stuff, along with the dice that Riffle uses. We released it in a very unconventional goofball way, tied to my gosh, it would take me like an hour to explain like the original like chain of things that were going to lead to this. But effectively, if you buy the Automaton of Shale, which is a pop-up book expansion for Too Many Bones, it came with, we took pre-orders for it without telling people that it was going to come with a 52-card puzzle deck. And originally, we didn't tell people what that puzzle deck was for. That puzzle deck leads to an online console where you can solve 52 unique puzzles on the deck of cards. Every card has its own puzzle. And if you solve the entire puzzle deck, it unlocks a counter. And as that counter added up to 500 solves of the puzzle deck, that unlocked Riffle, the secret character that we had told nobody existed. Now, solving the puzzle deck still increases that counter, but we also like just have it ticking up slowly, regardless, to make sure that Riffle hits at certain cadences. But we release Riffle during very, very specific, limited windows to drive traffic to our website and interest in chiptheorygames.com. Also, Riffle is a very expensive character to make because of the deck of cards. It's a PVC foiled deck of cards that's really awesome.
Will we ever just sell that deck of cards is another question that has popped up already in this chat.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Part of the issue is that it doesn't come with jokers, which is a whole nother secret thing. But yeah, I don't know. So far the answer has been no, but we've talked about it. There's like an alarming amount of rules and laws like regulating the sale of playing cards in other countries and stuff too, because of like gambling and other. It's more complicated than it seems, is all I would say.
All right, so let's see here. Do you plan to increase the level cap of characters in Botsy with some, let's say, 6-session campaign expansion? I don't think so.
Yeah, nope, no plans to do that. We know that's something that some folks would like. We don't hate the idea conceptually, but it's just not really the way the game is balanced. We intentionally built it so that you are pretty much maxed out by the end of session 3. It would be hard to roll that back without materially decreasing the amount of XP you get, and that's not necessarily fun. Yeah.
How many work hours does it take to create and test a single side quest or overland encounter on average? I think that's an incredibly complex question.
Yeah. Man, now I would say not very long. Because we've got a pretty, like a lot of board game design is math.
Yeah, but I'd say if you like include play testing in there too, though, do you think that messes with that? Because it says create and test.
Yeah, create and test.
Yeah. Because creating, I think...
It's also goofy because it's like playtesting happens publicly. And so like if we get 20 playtesters testing one encounter and that encounter takes them each 20 minutes, is that... And then we make one adjustment to it. And I don't know. I don't know if I can even answer that. Part of the reason, like we've talked about this before. Everyone's like, why are Kickstarters always late? Why are GameFound campaigns always late? Why are games always late? Because it's really, 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 really hard to say how long something is going to take to make and something is going to make to test, especially if it's not basically done before you bring it to a campaign. Board game design and development is not an A to Z straight line. Like you don't just do it. It's this and this. And then this, and then this. It's just all over the place. And sometimes things can go remarkably smooth. One example I can give of that would be the Grige campaign. The Grige solo campaign, which I largely developed. It mostly just worked right from the jump, which was kind of nuts because there's a lot of like the capture ability, specifically the capture talent in Cloudspire specifically, really creates a lot of headaches. But for the most part, those scenarios almost worked flawlessly with a handful of balance tweaks, like right from the jump. And it was great. It was awesome. And I was super pleased and happy and proud of myself. On the flip side of that, the Uprising. The Uprising scenarios for Cloudspire, which, if you're not familiar with that faction, they deal with the market. The market is exceptionally volatile and can do all sorts of crazy things. took forever. Took massively longer than any of the other faction solo campaigns to design. Similarly, Carcass, the Gearlock that I worked on, went relatively smoothly. The Gearlock Dart saw 150 million different iterations. I didn't work on Dart, but trying to get that whole character flipping mechanic thing working and balanced and so on and so forth it took forever. It took forever and ever. And so even looking at something like a Gearlock or a solo campaign design, it can vary so much just based on is it working or is it not working? Sometimes it works really well out of the gate and it's yes, we've got this. Other times you hit a problem and then you try and go around that problem 6 different ways and you realize we can't get around this problem unless we go back to this step. And now you're redoing a whole bunch of other stuff that you thought was done. It's just the nature of the beast. It's a hard thing to timeline out and measure. Something that we've been trying to improve via bringing in project managers and that kind of thing over the course of the last 7 years, and I still don't think we have it fully solved. So
I'll say we keep adding projects to that
timeline. Yeah, there is that.
We bring people on, but then we add more games because we brought people on. Sorry if this was asked, but are you able to say how many damaging skill lines are being added to Botsy, and if there's a rogue one like dagger or dual wielding?
You might know that better than I do.
I definitely know that, but I don't know what I can say about it.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know that we're at liberty to reveal that. Just
I will say that for sure, if you want to be in Magic and deal damage, you will have some other options than Destruction Staff with the new expansion stuff, and that's something else that you've stated may be true. Maybe. Who knows? Let me see.
That's it. No more questions.
No, there's definitely more questions. If you start to sell more exclusive stuff via CTG website, could you also expand the list of countries to where you ship? I'd like to buy stuff directly from you, but I live in Brazil.
Brazil, yeah, man. Brazil is a tough one. That's part of why we've tried to move into Brazilian Portuguese translations because, again, part of the issue, it's really expensive for us to ship to Brazil. And, we've talked about this with VFI Asia before because lots of people are not a fan of how long it takes VFI to send stuff, ourselves included sometimes. There's not another affordable option out there, though, is the issue. So it's a matter of do we take the unaffordable option and offer that to you where it's you can ship this to your country for $150 and just assume that pretty much nobody's going to buy it? Or do we stick with the option that works? Brazil is kind of a similar deal. There's not really an affordable option for us out there other than distributing directly within the country through offering Portuguese language editions of things. Sometimes we can do it on campaigns via hub shipments and that kind of thing. So please just know any country that we don't sell regularly into, it's not because we don't want to. We would prefer to be selling into every single country in the entire world. On the last couple campaigns, we haven't been able to sell into Ukraine as an example because of the war and stuff, and that sucks. We hate that. So yeah, I can't speak to that specifically. I can say though that anything that we keep as a CTG website exclusive, generally speaking, will also still be offered on campaigns. So the exception being products for lines that we no longer do campaigns for. So Riffle being one example, we're not doing another Too Many Bones campaign for the old system of Too Many Bones, most likely ever. So Riffle will never be offered on a campaign because of that, if that makes sense.
Will you go back to CTG's older games to do diced videos?
We are talking about that. I am unsure of how well a diced tutorial would work for Too Many Bones, purely because the Botsy diced tutorial talks about unlocking skill dice, and it can like give you a bevy of options. The gear locks are a lot more bespoke, and they have like unique rule sets and mechanics that you need to learn aside even from their like skill dice. And I'm not sure that we could do a dice tutorial without diving into how every single character works, which would be very expensive and time consuming. So that's TBD. We're talking with them about it. They would really like to do it. I mean, and we've committed all of our future game. Like we're doing Tanglewoods on there. We're doing Dragons of Etch and Stone on there. Obviously, those are smaller games. But yeah, things like Burn Cycle and Hoplomachus Victorum, I think, are possibilities as well. Cloudspire, I think, similar issue to Too Many Bones with all the asymmetrical factions might be a very heavy lift. But we're talking about it. We love Dized. We love the guys over there. We have a very good working relationship with them, and we'll be talking with them at Gen Con again. We just talked to them at UKGE. I say we loosely because I was not there, but yeah, we'll see.
Are y'all going to be at Essen this year?
Probably not. Sadly and unfortunately. That remains TBD. We have, again, we're just taking a really hard look at the profitability of every single thing that we do right now. And conventions themselves tend to not be super profitable in general. They are primarily marketing expenses. Essen is also a tough one because it takes us out of the office for almost 2 weeks by the time you tag on like the jet lag recovery and like family time that we give ourselves when we get back. So odds are probably not, aside from like selling out of like the Frosted Games booth or the types of things that we've done the last couple of years.
Does CTG have an avenue for working with game designers to help them publish their games with the CTG treatment?
Not presently, and that's not out of a lack of desire to want to do something like that. It's more just an issue of resources. I can tell you we're very open about the people that manufacture our games. So Gameland over in China is the company that manufactures our games. So in terms of like, if you want nice chips, if you want really nice componentry, that kind of thing, that's always the company that we point people to first is Gameland, because we've got a great working relationship with them. But yeah, generally speaking, in terms of like one-on-one communication, mentorship, that kind of thing, that's not something that we tend to have the bandwidth to do simply because we keep ourselves so busy.
Nice. As we come to the 2-hour mark, I am going to say no more incoming questions. We'll wrap up what we have. But also, if you've been enjoying this, make sure to give it a like. I'm sorry if this is annoying, but the number goes up by like 30 every time I ask.
Do it now.
So if you've been enjoying this, give the stream a like. It helps us out tremendously. And if you want to know about more of these coming up, make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out our other channels.
Yeah.
Can we expect new IPs from CTG, or are you going to keep working with the ones you have established?
You can expect new IP from CTG. To what extent? Well, I already mentioned there's a new IP coming from Neon Knight. Again, plan for that is a campaign next year in some capacity. It will be a very affordable game. We will do probably a deluxe version of it that will be a little bit more spendy, but it's a very affordable game that is hyper tactical and hyper crunchy that I can't wait. I've said that like 100 times already, but that should tell you how excited I am about it. And then there is also another new IP potentially planned for next year. I don't know what the IP is yet. So, and it might
be something very exciting.
Yeah, there's still the outside chance that it could be
very exciting.
That it could be not a new IP. It could be an IP that you may have heard of. But we will see on that. That is likely coming next year, and that will be a smaller, again, like kind of Roth-sized thing. But yeah, no, we're not. To be clear, we're not opposed to new IP, and we'd love to also do some new IP, not licensed IP, but new IP through the 20 Strong universe as well. Even though that's an existing system, It's also like a great way to introduce things like a Solar Sentinels universe or some other things. I know JC has Josh Carlson has a deck in late stage design that would be theoretically a new IP set in the 20 strong. It's a new 20 strong deck. So we certainly want to keep doing new IP and keep doing new things that invigorate us. We also, again, I mentioned Too Many Bones 2, which is in its embryonic stage right now. We also are excited to get back to that universe at some point because that is, we feel like that universe probably has the most of our personalities in it, generally speaking. So,
is there a reason why you didn't add a currency system in Elder Scrolls with actual coins or something like it?
Yes. Actually, interestingly, Too Many Bones originally actually had a gold system that you could buy stuff as well. The main thing is it was just like one more thing to manage, and it just wasn't necessarily like fun or adding.
Yeah.
There's so many things. I mean, like whatever. Obviously, Elder Scrolls has like the kitchen sink in it, right? Like the rule book's 100 pages. It's got so many systems and so many things bouncing off of each other. It had even more systems and more things bouncing off of each other at various stages of development, if you can believe that or not. Potentially money being one of those things. There's, as you start to play test a game and really, really work on it, there are things that potentially add, and I actually think, this is how I feel about a lot of board game expansions that aren't just like pure content expansions. An example I would give would be like the Quacks of Quedlinburg, what's the Alchemists expansion?
Alchemists and
there's one other one. The Herb Witches. I think Herb Witches is great. I think it materially changes the strategy of the game in a really cool way. I find Alchemists to be more for the sake of having more and not necessarily making me like rethink how I strategize or necessarily like play the game. It's just like, oh, here's another like thing to move around and a thing to like engage with. But I don't actually find it to improve the game much. It's just more for the sake of more. Many would say that we're already bad at getting rid of those types of systems in our games that are more for the sake of more. I'm side-eyeing the Too Many Bones lockpicking system. I'm side-eyeing Dangerous Darts and Too Many Bones. I'm side-eyeing, what else am I side-eyeing? The Network on Burn Cycle, maybe. But that is like the editing process is oftentimes where a lot of those types of things get cut out of games. It also just required every quest then, you need an XP value and you need a gold value. And then every item also needs to be like working on like a gold scale and that kind of thing. It just ultimately it didn't actually like really change the way you interacted with the game in a meaningful way at all. And it was just another thing to manage and another thing to do for the sake of doing it. And so we didn't find that it improved the game, so we pulled it out.
What's the retail timing for Roth looking like?
I think we are planning on officially and formally releasing it as soon as we're done fulfilling it. And again, I think the metal tokens are arriving any day. And then we will wrap English fulfillment here stateside. And the English versions will fulfill everywhere else, and then we will release it. So I would say probably within the next month, probably-ish, yeah.
It appears as though the official Chip Theory Games use is very true. Very true. Let me see. We may have...
I'm verbose because I love.
There may be a hitch in the stream. Let me see. Okay, I think we're back. Brass minis for Elder Scrolls.
Probably not.
Is Hoplomachus finished?
Probably.
See, now you're being real quick, and I have to find the next one. Let's see.
I'm just gonna say probably to everything to make the official Chip Theory Games YouTube channel happy.
Elder Scrolls 20 strong when?
Probably.
There you go. Fallout next big game.
We talked about that already. I would just say
I'm saying it now for a specific.
Yeah, the answer on Elder Scrolls 20 strong is the same as it's ever been, which is that we would like to do it. We need to get fully and completely through the Botsy stuff before we look at that. We don't have anything signed. We're not really. Everybody seems amicable to the idea, but it's not like something that we're actively working on right now.
Let me know in chat if you're still having issues with the stream. I'm showing that it's good on our end, but I have some comments that are saying it is having issues. I think we're also nearing we're circling the drain anyways. Okay, we're all good now. Regarding Hopla, do you plan on doing a video for the new A-sides of the regions? I assume the new arenas. No. We'll probably do a live stream with Victorum, new stuff, because we haven't done that yet too much.
And if you haven't bought Victorum yet or experienced all that Victorum has to offer, we are looking at some like pretty aggressively priced bundles coming to the web store in the next week or two that are going to be very close to what we have offered on campaigns previously to try and get some more folks to jump in, because the Pandora content freaking rules, and you should all try it if you haven't.
Let's see here. Person saying, let me see. If you think I wouldn't buy a neoprene stock certificate, you don't know me at all. Lord of the Rings, question marks? That was in regards to what IPs are we looking at? When will this 2026 product pipeline show up?
Probably when we're done talking about the 2025 product.
Yeah. Yeah, we're smack dab in the middle of the year.
Full disclosure, like Awakened Realms 20 Strong and Elder Scrolls are going to be like the main thing we're talking about from a like new stuff standpoint for the rest of this year, because the Elder Scrolls campaign will be huge again, like huge. There's tons, not to make your wallets cry. We try to take it easy on your wallets on the Dragons of Etch and Stone campaign, because there's a lot coming for the Elder Scrolls that's going to be, it's not going to be a cheap campaign if you want all the new stuff that we've got coming. So
I'll combine this question with another question.
Okay.
Any plans for a Tanglewoods big box game? And then I saw one later. Any plans for a Solar Sentinels big box game?
No plans for a Solar Sentinels big box game. Part of that is that Chris Beck, who is the artist behind the Solar Sentinels universe, is no longer with Chip Theory. And so like partially out of respect to him and that world that he created, and partially because we literally don't have access to any new art assets really beyond what we've already done. Sorry, what was the other question? Tanglewoods big box game. We would love to do that. Manny has some loose outlines for what that could look like. Odds are, if we go that direction, it would likely release through the Neon Knight label, though, I think, rather than doing like a big, crazy like CTG deluxe version. I think we'd use... Odds are, had Neon Knight existed prior to us signing Roth, we likely would have done Roth through the Neon Knight label too, just for the record. So if that comes, it probably won't be an official Chip Theory release. It'll likely be a Neon Knight release. We would love to do that. There's so many Tanglewoods art assets. And now that you all know about Tanglewoods Rose as well, there's like a whole nother like 80 art assets for Tanglewoods Rose that Manny also did while we had him like chained to his desk and his iPad working on that stuff. So yeah, we would love to do that potentially, but no immediate plans for that.
Should I wait for Too Many Bones 2 instead of buying the original? And then other follow-ups to that are, would Too Many Bones 2 support old content? Will you be able to play Gearlocks and Too Many Bones 2? These all sound like questions we probably don't currently have an answer for, would be my guess.
Yeah, I can't answer any of that definitively right now, but I think we've been fairly consistent in just saying like the Unbreakable campaign was really meant to be the end of that Too Many Bones system. So the design philosophy right now on Too Many Bones 2 is not let's do the original Too Many Bones but better. Because like Elder Scrolls was a little bit of that. Like that was, 10% of our design ethos was like, let's take things that didn't work from Too Many Bones and make them work better. Too Many Bones 2, we very much want to make that its own thing, because we don't want it to like make the original Too Many Bones stuff like obsolete. And in order to do that, I think odds are old content would not really work. That doesn't really make sense, though we have talked about that idea before. the desire would be to really make it its own thing, and probably not call it Too Many Bones 2 at the end of the day. That's the like working development title for it.
Yeah, it's going to be called numeral 2 Many Bones.
Yeah. No. I still like Too Many Bones, or Too Many Bones, comma TOO, but no. So that's the general philosophy, is like we don't want to make ourselves obsolete. We have a ton of Too Many Bones stock sitting in the warehouse right now. It continues to sell very well. We're very proud of all of that content, and we don't have any desire to make any of that stuff obsolete. So,
will there be 20 decks for 20 strong?
At least.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably. It's selling really well. I can't promise that, but I mean, by the time Tanglewoods and Rose come out and Cloudspire comes out and the 3 Awakened Realms decks come out, we're already sitting at 11, and we're not very far into that product's life cycle. So, I would say, there will be, like, it's going well and it's selling well, and I'm sure we'll get at least to 20 decks. Yes.
What if Too Many Bones 2, this is just me spitballing, is set in a distant future where bones have become a scarce resource and we're calling it Not Enough Bones? Then you can also do the space game people want and kind of the Fallout.
Too Many Bones, osteoporosis.
Yeah. Weak bones. Too many weak bones. Rose still looking good for holiday release?
Yes.
Question mark.
Yes.
Perfect.
And it's really cool. I'm really excited to show that one off too, but we gotta hold our tongue on it.
That's true. Sorry, I'm sifting through the many. Will Bones 2 be backwards compatible? Any other promos at Gen Con?
I think no. I think the main things are there's the new Elder Scrolls class with some side quests pack. It's a chef class. It's a chef class expansion.
Oh, big reveal.
Big reveal.
I made it.
Yeah. Andrew actually was the lead developer on the chef class. So,
so if you don't like it, it's my fault.
Yep.
But if you do like it, that's me.
And then we'll have Roth there, and then we will also have like I said, the Fight 5 release from the Neon Nightline. Those are the big things. We had hoped to have Tanglewoods there. There's still the like slimmest outside shot that we maybe airship in a few Tanglewoods to have there, but I don't think so.
Just for peaksies, not for sellsies?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Will CTG ever do a space-themed game?
I mean, 20 Strong Nemesis is space-themed.
There you go.
Ha! Take
Dummy.
that. Solar Sentinels also is kind of space themed. I know what you're asking. You're not asking that.
I think they want more.
Yeah. We have talked about. This is another one of those interesting things where it's like passion versus what sells. Like, people might be bored with more traditional fantasy settings, but they also tend to sell the best. So we're always having that. I don't know. We've had a lot of discussions around burn cycle, like how much of it was the gameplay, how much of it was the cost, how much of it was our like inability to like talk about it well, which I would put that responsibility on myself. How much of it was like the theme in and of itself, that it didn't seem to like take off the way that we expected. And I think the sci-fi theme was at least a portion of that. Now, granted, it was a very subversive take on sci-fi. So things like sci-fi, we're always wondering like, will that sell as well? But I think about this all the time, like more than I should. I'm like, chips are shaped like circles, which are planets, right? Like, I'm like, that seems like the most obvious like use of a chip ever as a like location on a map or whatever. So we're not working on anything that's set in space. We're not working on anything sci-fi right now other than Nemesis. But I certainly could see it happening eventually. Sure.
I would also say, outside of me standing next to a copy of Elder Scrolls, often at UKGE, so a lot of praise being sent there. Burn Cycle, heavily talked about and beloved in the UK.
In the UK, man. Okay.
Or at least people who go to that convention.
Yeah, it's a slow. Seriously, no pun intended. It's a slow burn. And I think it's one that intimidated a lot of people. It got much more complicated than I think we intended it to, like in terms of its mechanics and its rule set and all that kind of thing. So I think it intimidated a lot of people when it came out, and I think it was, the shut up and sit down review of it was brutal,
bad.
like borderline, seemed like mean.
They did not care for it.
So it just, that one had a harder time getting off the ground. I don't know.
But at least one of them brothers, Murph, really, really likes it. So that's number one fan of Burn Cycle. Yeah. Let's see here. Any new cooperation with Joe Klipfel planned?
Not formally. Like, we haven't signed any of his other games. We have talked to him about his game Behold Rome, and he's got a couple other really clever designs. He's also done like a micro shrink of the Elder Scrolls, actually, Pocket Elder Scrolls, that I haven't even had a chance to look at yet and really like engage with, because just things have been crazy. If Dragon sells well after the fact and is well regarded after the fact, after the campaign, it is absolutely something we'd love to continue doing, either with Joe or with other like Pocket designs, or both, frankly. It's kind of a both and conversation. Because again, I'm mystified by Joe's talent for making cool, crunchy little Pocket games like that. So we will see. We have to see how it sells outside of a campaign. The campaign did literally almost to the dollar what we had hoped it would do. We had kind of hoped we could hit like around 350, and we hit 342, I think, by the time the campaign closed. So, and we were well over our budget, what we budgeted for it. That was, again, our like kind of highest hopes and dreams for it. So we'll see how it sells. We'll see how it sells after the fact. We'll see how people like it once they get it in their hand and get a chance to play it.
It's really good.
I presume they will love it, because I do. And
it's very good.
It's really smart and clever. And then we'll hopefully sign some more stuff. I know that would make Joe very happy. And Joe, if you happen to be in the chat, hi. I don't think you are, but hi anyway.
Joe's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
I hope he's in the chat. And if he's not, he goes down on my loveliness scale. Is there a chance for additional end game style content for Botsy that is extended content with max character? We covered that already.
Yep.
Heather, beloved Heather from support, why does this look like some kind of press conference? We're talking about impressive stuff here. Gotta throw a press conference.
Yeah. This is just a classic post-game report.
Yeah.
Ask me all your toughest coaching questions.
Hey, yeah, what move should we have made there?
Listen, the Tariffs came out strong in the first half, and we just...
They really softened up in the middle, but they're making a comeback.
Right, yeah, exactly. So we'll see. Game 2 will be tough, but we're prepared.
A bookmarker for Elder Scrolls for the scenario book with useful info on it, like Endgame EP ? I like that idea.
I kind of like that idea
long
too. That's
reference card.
It's not something we've thought about, but I'll write it down.
I think this is where I put the cutoff. So this is going to be the last question. Sorry, folks.
Last one.
Yeah, it's an important one.
Better
20
be.
strong Witcher ?
This is the problem with starting to venture into licensed anything, right?
Yeah.
It's just like everybody wants you to do their favorite license too. We would love to do more licensed Elder Scrolls, more licensed 20 strong stuff. We would also love to do more unlicensed. Keep saying Elder Scrolls 20 strong stuff.
We want to do unlicensed Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
stuff.
we will. Yeah,
Thomas the Tank Engine flying out of the sky.
There are a handful of licenses specifically that we know. Some are board game adjacent. We know for a fact we could do if we wanted to, that we are not pursuing right now. And just the only other thing I would just say is that, like, different from a franchise like, and I don't say this to disparage Unmatched, because I have Unmatched Ninja Turtles coming eventually. I don't know. I don't read my updates. I'm a hypocrite. And I'm very excited for Unmatched Ninja Turtles. But I would say, unlike an Unmatched deck or something of that vein, it's like 20 strong decks take a long time. Like, we really, really, really put a ton of effort into making every single one feel really unique. And we're really proud of that. And we don't ever want to lose that. And so they do take some time. If we were just like mostly reskinning things and like making just a handful of adjustments, we could be kicking these things out a lot faster. But because we put the amount of energy and effort and just the amount of art and everything into these that we do, they do take a little bit longer. So we can't just keep grabbing. We have to be very choosy about what we jump into because it's like it takes up a significant amount of our internal resources to develop these decks.
All right. That's all of them.
That's it. That's
we answered
all.
all your questions.
Okay.
And it was a sprint. Remember, if you enjoyed this, give this stream a like. And if you want to know about more, subscribe to the channel. And Ghillie probably has a wrap up too, but that's mine. Yeah,
absolutely. I was just gonna say I owe you guys lots of updates. I know things have been crazy over here, and it's summer, so I've been out a decent amount in the last couple weeks as well. But there are updates coming on all the things: language additions, Roth fulfillment, Dragons and Veteran Stone printing, Tango Woods manufacturing. All of it is coming. And as soon as we can talk meaningfully about what's coming this fall in terms of campaigns, both or late summer and fall, in terms of campaigns, you can trust that we will be screaming from the rooftops about it. Like and subscribe to this stream and this channel. Please go check out our new website if you have not. We have massively improved the shopping experience. Buy stuff. We're going to be okay from tariffs. I think that summarizes everything.
Language editions are being worked on.
Language editions are being worked on. And again, last thing I'll say on the whole tariff situation, the best way to make sure that the board game industry stays healthy and you're supporting the companies and games you love is simply to just keep supporting them, even in the uncertainty. Even if you're not 110% certain you're going to get the thing that you're backing, you will from Chip Theory, I promise you that. But the best way to support this industry during market uncertainty is always just to continue to support the companies you love by buying the things you're interested in. It's as simple as that.
Buying direct as well is big.
Yes, yeah. Buying direct is always the best way that company is going to make money. Though, again, as I was saying earlier, I think friendly local game stores need your support more than ever as well.
That's very true as well.
Yeah, because products are getting more and more expensive. So anyway, that's what I got, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for all of your support of Chip Theory Games. Updates will be coming soon, and we will be back with another one of these in the very near future. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.